Okay, so I'm starting with the 1 month view because it provides a better explanation of what's going on overall. You can see that over 1 month we're up 1.1%, and that SPY is up 1.36, so we're still underperforming SPY on the 1 month. But today was the Federal Reserve meeting, and it was interesting and volatile. You'll notice that the portfolio dropped quite a bit today, but that's because the option got re-rated to what it was actually supposed to be. And the main question is, how did the market drop, yet on a realistic basis, how did the portfolio expand and go up after essentially 2 days? The answer is that volatility dropped way, way, way out of the market, and that the option is worth a lot less now. So a lot of volatility dropped out, and now the option is worth less. So there was an expansion of the money derived from the option, which is itself a derivative. So the portfolio is obviously a second order, and that's wonderful and all. Who cares? That's a lot of math that people don't care to do. The interesting thing about the Fed meeting today was that they actually did go with 50 basis points, and the market overall is incredibly worried about a return of inflation with such aggressive cutting. And since the cutting has been so aggressive, the long-term bonds reacted very poorly. So TLT fell 1.4%, I believe, on the day. 1.23% on the day. But if we go ahead and look at shorter term bonds, they didn't fall as much. And in after hours, they seem to be moving up because the news is good for after hour bonds that short term interest rates are falling. The main thing investors are worried about is inflation over a longer term, since this is mirroring what happened in the 80s. I believe it was 86, 87, 89, where the same exact cycle happened, and investors are worried that inflation will return and roar back, and that Volcker's actions weren't unjustified, and that Jerome Powell will need to, how do you say, rate bomb the market in order to return inflation to the 2% target. Jerome reiterated and explained that housing was a main factor in the CPI data, and that it is one of the lagging parts of CPI data that really increases the overall benchmark, and that everything else has returned to a normal level. Yet the market does not appreciate this. The market, you would think, would be incredibly stimulated by a 50-point rate cut, but the news got spread around last week that there was potentially a 50-point rate cut, so the market began pricing that in. And when it happened, Jerome's comments about the state of the market were mixed. He definitely insinuated that GDP growth was going to happen, and that the jobs market was healthy and not in a place of worry. But he also communicated that GDP growth had slowed, which was a function of the jobs market declining, and that he was aware that the jobs market had declined over several days. So, although the portfolio is doing well, Jerome communicated that through the future, there is an anticipation of a soft landing, yet it is difficult to say what the soft landing would be. The portfolio is doing incredibly well, actually. So over the past 3 months, there is a 2.8% return. And on a 3-month basis, where I wasn't even involved in a lot of it, there has been a 4.64 return. And if you totally take out the match from given investment, that is the IRA match, the portfolio is still outperforming the market on a 3-month basis by quite a wide margin. And this is good for me in that the market is undecided and is even falling on a given day, because it lines up with my 10-year goal of beating the market, and that I am seeing real returns that are better than expected for my first year. However, in the long term, there is a real concern of inflation returning. There is a real concern of, will there be enough money to go around? Will the jobs market be impacted incredibly heavily in the near to longer term? But despite all of that, I am excited by the portfolio's return because it has been incredibly helpful. It does not seem as though imminently I will be able to deposit money without lowering the average return over a meaningful time frame, given 1 month, 3 years, or 3 months, 1 year, that kind of thing. If the market does begin to return under 3%, I will abuse continually the Robinhood 3% match. I am incredibly happy to do that. But the difficulty is that it is looking more and more likely that I am assigned on a put that I have sold, and that the portfolio will flip into a cash building mode where I will begin selling calls at a cost basis. And that isn't necessarily bad for me, as it does help me outperform. It is bad for the economy as a whole, and that doesn't simply affect the portfolio, it affects me personally and other people I know personally. And while I am optimistic for the portfolio's performance over the next year, given what the Fed has communicated, I am concerned about people that I know that aren't following the broad financial and macroeconomic news as I am, because they are likely very unaware of this. Luckily, my household is aware of this, the cat and the person that I so love who lives with me. And there has been an agreement that I will change jobs for a good rate now in exchange for staying there for a couple of years, and that the person that I love will maintain their current position, as the recent raise they received was good and in line with the market average. But the overall recession is brewing. I feel that it's coming, and that many people are underestimating how likely a hard landing is, because the Federal Reserve did cut so aggressively, and Jerome made it very clear that he was willing to make aggressive actions in the future every 2 months or so, given that it was necessary. That's all. See you later. Thanks for tuning in. This video is sponsored by my book, 100 Every Shift. It helps bartenders and servers increase their income and make consistent money on every shift.